following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee. Happy Hump Day. Welcome in Main Street Sports today. On this Hump Day edition, we visit with Donovan Stewart, MainStreetPreps.com. Also, Teresa Walker joins the show at 3 Central today. Plenty to get into with Teresa. Also, top story coming up and Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Get set, buckle up. It's the sports talk show you've always wanted with the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton. Here's the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yow.
Welcome in to this Wild and Wacky Wednesday edition. My voice is, Mo, I tried to get him to play the Shaft intro. He wouldn't do it. Now, it's a little Barry White or something.
Little Isaac, little something, huh?
I mean, my voice is struggling today, and it's not as dry as it was yesterday, so that's a positive. But still not great. So may need you to carry a lot of this show here. So buckle up and be ready, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Well, we've got a great one. As you heard JP there, Donovan Stewart comes in the next segment doing a little high school football coaching searches talk. Obviously, we have a couple here in southern Middle Tennessee, Mo, but there are several across the state still not filled. And well, spring practice is coming up, so folks probably looking.
And it's interesting because I keep getting texts and calls. Has X done anything yet? And I'm like, no. It's like everybody else feels more urgency about the situation than the people in the decision-making positions. So I mean, much as we'd like to make the hire form, we can't
do that. So we'll get into all of those, the new hires, the folks still looking, all of that with Donovan. Teresa Walker joins the show. We'll talk about the Titans. We'll talk about the Preds. They're starting to get back on track, so that's positive after a big win on the West Coast last night. We'll also talk about maybe some Grizzlies. They got a big one tonight down in San Antonio. So a lot to get to with Teresa. It's always fun to talk to her. Some college football. North Carolina State AD is going to serve on the College Football Playoff Committee as the committee's chairman. And, well, he's replacing another AD. And I'm just not sure that's a great idea, Mo. So we'll get into it and see what you guys think about sitting ADs chairing such a committee that could potentially, talk about their teams, but whatever. It's crazy, right? So, and then of course, yesterday, USFL, big announcement, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And of course, you never know what we're going to get into with halftime. So stick around. It's going to be a great show. We need to get to that top story here momentarily, but first, got some results from last night and kind of a decent little schedule for tonight, Mo. So let's give it to them on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Tuesday night high school boys basketball action. Lawrence County in District 8 AAA action came up to Spring Hill and got a 71-60 victory. It was Collinwood defeating Hampshire. It was Collinwood defeating Hampshire in 10A play, 63-58. Santa Fe with a 71-50 road win over Culleoka in 10A. In 10AA, it was Giles County defeating visiting Mount Pleasant, 54-30. Is that right? Okay. Summertown defeating Lewis County 76-36.
In 10A action as well. It was Richland 52, Wayne County 38. Summit, a 66-38 winner over Nolensville. Franklin Road Academy down to Columbia Academy 77-59, and Zion Christian gets a 55-37 win over Franklin Classical.
That Giles County Mount Pleasant boys score was 54-38, not 30. I knew that didn't sound right. I typed that in. On the girls' side last night, it was Lawrence County defeating Spring Hill 59-40. Collinwood with a 70-42 win over once number 10 ranked Hampshire. Santa Fe edges Culleoka 54-50. Chris was at that one. We may talk a little bit about it later on. Giles County with a 57-36 win over Mount Pleasant, and Summertown 67, Lewis County 25.
Wayne County defeated Richland 67-41. It was Summit 51, Nolensville 35. Columbia Academy down Franklin Road Academy 65-47, and Zion Christian with a 40-24 win over Franklin Classical.
In high school wrestling, the Region 7 AA Duels tournament was held at Summit last night. Nolensville wins its semifinal matchup over Franklin 60-15. The host Spartans 49-25 over Brentwood in the semis. In the championship, a rematch of last week's Summit 48-28 win over Nolensville didn't go quite that well for the Knights. 72-6 Spartans win the Region 7 AA championship. In NHL action last night, Predators go out to Seattle, and the Kraken was not released. 4-2 Nashville, the final in that one. NCAA men's basketball action, top-ranked Auburn. Bruce Pearl now 1-1 as the number one team in the country with a 55-54 win over Missouri.
Yeah, it was close. Black and gold teams get him when he's number one. High school basketball action tonight. Big one at Columbia Central. Independence travels to Columbia Central to take on the Lions, and that's a huge one in the boys' side, as well as the girls, actually. And Loretto will be at Giles County, and junior college basketball at Southwest Tennessee will be Columbia State. Should be fun. Doubleheader starts at 5:30. It's always fun when those two get together.
Depends on your definition of fun. And NBA action tonight, as Chris mentioned, Memphis travels to San Antonio, taking on the Spurs. That's a 7:30 start on Bally Sports South. In NCAA men's basketball action tonight, Florida comes to number 18 Tennessee. It's 5 o'clock start on ESPN2. At 6 o'clock on ESPNU, Vanderbilt is in. It's not Como, so what is Columbia, South Carolina? Taking on Gamecocks. Coast Guard. Yeah.
That's gonna do it for your Wednesday rundown. Yeah. Coast Guard. Well, we asked the question yesterday, Mo. Would Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and Kurt Schilling, would they get in their final attempt to the Hall of Fame? Well, today's first pitch top story is no. Only one player elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, and that is Big Papi David Ortiz.
Yeah, and I don't know if I just kind of blanked out on David Ortiz or what, but I did not realize that he had hit 541 career home runs.
Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of his resume comes as a designated hitter.
Yeah, and the writers have typically been loath to recognize DHs. I mean, when you think about Edgar Martinez and the career that he put together with the Mariners, you'd have thought that he'd have had more traction, and it just never really seemed to catch fire. But Ortiz, like you said, the overwhelming majority of his career was as a DH, but he hit 286 for his career, according to this CBS Sports article I'm looking at. 541 home runs, 10 All-Star game appearances. So,
I don't want to be that guy,
but
he absolutely was linked to HGH.
Well, I mean, he hit 400. He hit 483 of his home runs from the age of 27 on.
Was never an all-star before. He was an MVP, fifth for MVP voting in 2003, the year he got the HGH. And his home run totals went from 20 to 31, 41, 47, 54, 35, and then started to drop off after he turned 30. Back to 23, 28, still 32 though. And then he hit 35, 37, and 38 as a 38, 39, and 40-year-old. So, fact is that he may not have officially tested positive, and it may not have been an official baseball test or whatever, but it happened in 2003. And if you split the two numbers before 2003 and after, it's pretty obvious something changed. And I don't think it was hand-eye coordination.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know how you address that, because the same excuse me, the same conjecture that is keeping some players out surrounded him as well.
Well, Poppy's got a nice smile. So anyway, I don't want to get it. Let's move on. Let's talk about high school football. And we'll do that with Donovan Stewart on the other side of the break. So stick around on Main Street Sports today. We'll be right back. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports. Today it is Wild and Wacky Wednesday. We give you the weirdest and wildest news from across the world. In the final segment of the show, we'll also talk about the Wild and Wacky Titans, who may have had one of the greatest performances in a loss in NFL history. I mean, if you just run down the positives of that game, you go, well, I guess they probably blew out their opponent, except they didn't. So
not only did they not blow them out,
didn't even beat them.
Win it all.
So, Yeah, it's wild and wacky for sure. So we'll get into that with Teresa Walker later as well. College football, USFL, all straight ahead. But Mo, we are currently, and as you know, we talked about in that first segment, we're still waiting on word from a couple of different schools here in our area on the high school football coaching front. And to be honest with you, it feels like time is ticking away.
Guess it depends on who you ask. I mean, it's like a text that I sent to a friend of the show, Dan James, last night. I mean, heck, season doesn't start till August.
I mean, you put a coach on the field in July this year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know who's going to run. I guess that coach, he's still the interim coach. Technically, he hasn't been fired.
He is still the interim coach. So whatever.
I mean, it's not like they don't have a coach. They got a coach.
They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything right now. It's just January.
Right. But one would think that if you're going to hire a coach, you might want to do it before spring practice. And so certainly interesting, but they're not the only ones, Mo. They are not the only ones looking for a coach. There are several schools, and we mentioned yesterday, Glencliff just became one of those schools.
Glencliff just became one of those schools. Franklin Road Academy just became one of those schools. So, I mean, the openings are multiplying, I guess. And
yes, they are.
It's an interesting time to be looking for a coach because, as you said, you would think that most of the coaching slots are filled at this point. So,
well, one of the guys who keeps his ear to the ground when it comes to coaching changes across the state from Bristol to Memphis is Donovan Stewart, who takes great pride in keeping us updated on MainStreetPreps.com with all of the football coaching news. And he joins us now on Main Street Sports Today. Donovan, welcome in. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. There's 21 jobs open right now.
That's insane.
Across the state. I was looking at it a while ago, just, kind of getting ready for the show, and there's 10 in our coverage area. So 10 in the mid-state, 11 if you count Gordonsville. We've already had 30 jobs filled. So there's 21 out there. So that's 51 when they all get filled. I'm thinking I've tracked this for about 10 years. The most we usually have is between about 60 and 70. I'm expecting 80, at least 80 this year, because it's not February yet. There's already been 30. There's going to be a bunch more, and then it always happens in March and April. There's always a ton of coaching changes. So I think we're looking at 75 or 80 total.
Out of how many schools, Donovan, that play football?
Probably about 340 that play football.
So you're talking about a little right at 20 to 25% turnover then. You're expecting.
Yep, probably. Yep.
1 out of 4. That's crazy.
Yep.
That was my biggest question, Donovan, was how does this stack up 2 years past? But it sounds like it's about right, if not a little bit, more, but it's about right.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is we've never, I mean, and Mo can attest to this. Mo's been in this as long as I have, if not longer. Sorry, Mo, to pop you on the age thing there. But the thing is we're there. But the thing is, this year, I think you've had more in January, because I mean, I wrote 4 stories a couple of days ago, and so I think you've got more coming in. That's come in January. That usually in January you don't have as many, but I think we've had a ton this year. And like I said, we had 4. South Pittsburgh, Westwood. There was 4 jobs that changed during the middle of the season, like week 5, week 6, which that never happens. Like you might have 1, but we had 4. And the fact that one of those went on to win a state championship is pretty incredible.
It really is.
On a number of levels, it is, yes. One of those was also Lincoln County, that happened mid-year. And like you said, Donovan, you just don't see. I mean, at least South Pittsburgh was a guy stepping away. Lincoln County was a situation where the administration decided to make a change mid-year. And like you said, you just don't see that a whole lot at the high school level. It's really odd.
Right. Well, you usually see it in Memphis because Memphis is the Wild Wild West. It's hard to understand what goes on out there. They're their own. When you're talking about high school football in Memphis, they're their own. It's kind of like they're their own little military state out there or something. I mean, it's really hard to get, I was told something the other day about a coach that at Memphis Business Academy, which is a really small school out there, that I didn't even realize that the guy that I had down as the head coach didn't even coach there last year. I mean, but nobody will say anything. It's just the weirdest thing ever, and it's hard to get information from a lot of those guys out in Memphis. So the fact that, and see, that's the thing I'm considering into this maybe 75 to 80 coaching changes, is you don't know how many of those are in Memphis that are going to pop, and we won't know about it till way after it's done. So I think it's one of those deals where, you're going to have, like I said, I think this year is the most we're going to have we've ever had, because like I said, there's 21 open now, which is insane. And then, by the time all those get filled, there's going to be others open. So I think we're looking at a ton this year.
Speaking with Donovan Stewart of Main Street Preps, Donovan, the one that's really got me intrigued at this moment, again, is Franklin Road Academy. As you said, just popped yesterday, Bill Whittemore stepping down after 10 seasons. We talked about it a little on the show, but from what you understand, what was the motivating factor there for him?
I think he just wanted to step away and still stay at FRA in the admissions office. And, a decade, I think now it's gotten to the point, guys, where you're putting in a ton of time, and some of these coaches are not getting paid. Like if they broke it down by how much of the time that they put in and what they're actually getting paid per hour, it's not very good. And I think
that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
that's
don't
a bad
do that.
idea. Just
right.
Don't do that.
And,
restaurants and sports.
Right, absolutely.
And journalism.
Right, no doubt. And I think you're going to see a time where there's going to be a lot of programs that are going to have trouble finding coaches because of, I think it's changed, and I think now that they're not getting paid what they're not getting the crazy money, and the fact that they're hearing all this stuff from parents and everything else, and there's a shortage of referees and everything. I think that in 5, 10, 15 years, we may be playing touch football. We may not be playing tackle football anymore. Who knows?
Donovan, 21 schools currently without a head coach. Of those 21, outside of South Pittsburgh, what's the best job open right now?
Baylor. No doubt, Baylor.
Well, okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that they were open, but to me, it just feels like, this is a year where you have some really good, Columbia Academy historically has been fairly good. Baylor, obviously, FRA, South Pittsburgh, there are some schools out there that are, traditionally pretty good, who are going to be looking for high level coaches. And I'm not sure how many high level coaches there are out there.
Right. Well, and the thing is, there's always, and you guys know this, there's always a job, and it could be Baylor, that it starts domino effect. Like there'll be whoever gets the Baylor job, if that's a coach from another part of the state or another big program, another big program across the state, then they leave, and then that opens up that really good job, and then that job may open up another one. So and there's rumors out there about Gary Rankin leaving Alcoa. and obviously, of course, Alcoa wouldn't open. But I mean, the thing is as soon if Gary was to leave Alcoa, Brian Nix, the defensive coordinator, would be if they sent out a press release, it would be one of those situations where Gary Rankin leaves, Brian Nix is the new head coach at Alcoa. Like, well, everybody already knows that Brian's going to get that job. Right, absolutely, something like that. So the thing is, but you're right. I mean, there are some, I think another a good program that's open right now is Chattanooga Christian. They in Division II AA, they, Mark Marakis has done a really good job there. He's going to stay in and be in the admissions department, and I think that they could, that could be a good job, and that might be a domino job that opens up a good coach in Chattanooga or something like that. Opens up a good program in Chattanooga. So I think that's one of those deals. But yeah, 21 jobs still open. It's absolutely crazy.
It's kind of intriguing how some of these jobs are coming open, Donovan, because like when you look at Soddy Daisy, the guy left there to take over the offensive coordinator position over at Riverdale. I mean, some of these head coaches are stepping down for positions that you would not expect head coaches to be stepping down for.
Well, you're right. And the thing is, I think it goes back to the point where, like you're talking about, Justin Barnes, great guy, has small children, and is a good head coach, has done some really good things at Soddy Daisy. But I think he's going to make probably a little bit more money because he's coming to Rutherford County, because I think Rutherford County pays a little bit more than Hamilton does. And he's wanting to kind of still coach, but he's wanting to get that head coaching responsibility and some of that stuff off his plate and just be an offensive coordinator. And I think that some coaches, the longer they're around, I think they look at that. So, it's one of those deals where, he's still coaching and he's loving what he's doing, but he just doesn't have the responsibility and the craziness that, what a head coach faces these days.
That's a situation that really takes a special ego, I would think, to be able to
right.
step away from making decisions and adapt to making suggestions. I'm always kind of fascinated by guys that take a couple of steps back down the ladder like that.
Right, absolutely, no doubt. And it's one of those deals where, again, I think he's wanting to take a little off his plate. And I think now we're in a society where the head coach, I mean, like when my dad was the head coach back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was a lot of stuff that went on, but it wasn't a 24/7, 365 job back then like it is now. I mean, because you've got to deal with recruiting and you have to deal with everything else, and you've got to deal with the parents and playing time and all that stuff. And back when my dad started, you could take a vacation. You could do things and not have to worry about it. At the end of the day, you could go home and kind of leave it behind. You don't leave it behind now because there's just so much to do and everything. And it's gotten crazy now because of everything that a head coach has to do. So, I'm looking forward to seeing Justin at Riverdale because, he and I had a conversation the other day about what he's doing, about stepping back, and he said he was totally ready to do that. And he was looking forward to just being able to teach during the day, coach his offensive guys during practice and games, and be able to go home and not have to worry about everything that, like Will Kreisky, the head coach of Riverdale, has to worry about. So,
Donovan Stewart, MainStreetPreps.com. Real quick, Donovan, has anybody else made a better hire than Tennessee High School taking Matt Reimer from University of Cumberland's? Is that the best hire made so far this year?
That one was so off the wall because I didn't even know that thing was open. I mean, obviously, Matt Chandler's the interim head coach, but what everybody had told me, he was going to continue to stay the head coach, and they weren't going to make an announcement. So it was really kind of wild that Matt Reimer, and I think you're right. I think that probably is probably the best hire so far. And the fact that we didn't really know it was open is totally shocking. So, but yeah, and I think here in the next week or two, we're going to there's going to be some dominoes fall, and I think we'll, next time we're on the air together, we'll be talking about, well, that one might have surpassed Reimer Tire at Tennessee High. So, I think again, I think we're going to have a bunch more, and we're all going to be busy doing this. So, that's always the fun part of the off season in high school football is how many coaches, how many jobs do change, and like I said, this year I think there's going to be a bunch.
Donovan Stewart at examine_stew on Twitter. Thanks for taking some time with us today, man. We appreciate it.
No problem, guys. Anytime. Thanks.
All right. When we come back, we will talk about a league that is also looking to hire 2 head coaches. They have 6 of their 8, but the USFL still needs 2 coaches. So that's unusual. But they make their announcement Tuesday, I guess. Yeah, yesterday, that they'll be playing in Birmingham. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Main Street Sports Today returns after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today. Chris Yao, Mo Patton coming to you from the Lee Company studio. We're presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and glad to have you guys with us here on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Hey, an exciting hump day because there's high school hoops tonight. There were some high school hoops last night. I got to see a really good girls game in super competitive, and unfortunate that Culleoka's three of Culleoka's starters ended up fouling out. We were in the bonus before the first quarter ended, Mo. It was crazy.
How many total fouls were there in that ball game?
You know, I don't know the answer to that, but I will say this. Both teams were in the bonus at the end of the first quarter, and Culleoka never reached the double bonus in the first half. So only 2 fouls by Santa Fe in the second quarter. And I don't think the game changed.
Well, it's interesting because when I was out at Culleoka for their game against Hampshire a couple of weeks ago, it was a bit of a foul fest as well. So I don't know if it's something about that gym that just creates whistles or what the situation is. But that was that's interesting. Tough loss for Culleoka because it sounds like they were as in control of that ball game as you could be, given the foul situation.
Yeah, they actually took a lead. I think it was 45-38 at one point, and with 5 minutes to go, it was a 6-point game. And then Tyler Reichman, who had 14 points, Macy McKinnon, great sophomore guard, and Alex Skinner, their 3 top scorers, all fouled out within about 2 minutes of each other. So, yeah, it was a tough night. But
at the same time, though, credit Santa Fe for
especially
hanging in there and staying close enough to take advantage.
Well, considering that in the first quarter they made like 1 of 7 free throws, and in the fourth quarter they were 15 of 18. So I fourth
close
quarter
and
free
late,
throws,
man. Close and late.
That's all you gotta have.
Up.
So yeah, but and then Mo, I'm gonna tell you this right now, straight up. I've seen some really good basketball players in my coverage days, and even back into high school and before. I don't know that I've seen a 5 foot, 9-10 white kid as good as Alden Slaughter. I mean, that kid is unreal. You watch him play basketball and you can see just the pure basketball talent dripping off that kid. It's unreal. I mean, he was hitting shots he had no business making. So anyway,
he's got a little swag to him too.
Yeah, he does. You got to be a little confident to be as good as he is, and he's confident. So
yeah.
Remind me to tell you something off air that I got off the record last night. It's exciting.
Okay. All right, they call that a tease, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the United States Football League 2, because their press release, the final paragraph in their press release says, the USFL is a new independent football league controlled by Fox Sports through USFL Holdco LLC, a new business entity, and is not associated or affiliated with the USFL of the 1980s or its owners. I wonder who that's talking about.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
There.
DJT, maybe?
There's one particular owner that I'm sure that's what they're talking about.
I don't think there's any maybe to that. It took me a second. Give me a bell, JP.
He's like, I need some help.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Anyway,
I was a little slow on connecting those dots, but yeah, that's
43 games will be played. 80 days from now, they will start.
43 games. Okay.
They'll play 43 total games for the season. They will start in 80 days. And that is April 16th with the New Jersey Generals. Speaking of that former owner. And the Birmingham Stallions.
Oh, goodness.
It's going to be Mike Riley and Skip Holtz. Look at that.
So let me ask you this, because my knowledge or my remembrance of the USFL is not that of a minor league football guru such as yourself.
Thank you.
How many teams were there in the original USFL?
What year would you like?
At its peak.
Well, let's just go through 1985. Houston Gamblers, New Jersey Generals, Denver Gold, Orlando Renegades, Memphis Showboats, Baltimore Stars, Jacksonville Bulls, San Antonio Gunslingers, Oakland Invaders, Tampa Bay Bandits, Portland Breakers, Los Angeles Express, and of course, Birmingham Stallions.
So was that 14 or 15? Surely it's an even number.
I think it's 14.
Okay. I guess and we're playing with 8 teams this year?
Correct. 8 teams.
Okay. So I guess my question is, if the attempt is to distance yourself from certain figures, why would you have the New Jersey Generals?
Well, ideally, because in the future, in either the next 2 or 3 years, they are planning on going back to home stadiums, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need a New York team. I mean, just for the,
do you?
I mean, for the television aspect of it, I think you do. And JP can tell me if I'm right or wrong there. But I think the television market is just, it's too big not to have somebody there with a rooting interest, right? So that's, and I think, using the old names and logos, that's going to build a little bit of nostalgia, because I don't, let's be honest here, the people, my age and a little bit older, maybe those who remember a little bit of the Stallions, my dad's age, the nostalgia is a pretty big deal. So I think it's a big deal that, NBC and Fox are going to air this thing simulcast. Be the first scheduled sporting event since Super Bowl I to be simulcast on 2 competing networks. It's a big deal. So a lot of folks put some egos away for this to work, and I think Birmingham is going to be a fantastic host, and I'm looking forward to getting down there for this particular game. You know me, though. Minor league football, I'm all in. So I hope it continues the way that it is starting. But again, 2 teams don't have coaches, and they're having a draft in like a month. So anyway, I'm sorry, it's a player selection
what's
meeting.
the hurry?
Exactly. You're just playing 80 days. Anyway, it's about time to take a break. So let's do that. It's halftime on Main Street Sports Today. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org, or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today, or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
No, I don't know. Did you happen to see, I believe it was Jordan, shoot. What's the golfer? Jordan, no. Anyway, it's not Spieth. Anyway, there was a golfer. They said, well, if you're a handicap in golf is whatever it is, what would be your handicap in fishing? He said scratch, because it's called fishing, not catching.
There you go.
It got me thinking. I mean, I'm not sure what my handicap would be either, but I thought that was hilarious. Have you seen that Augusta National is hiring a landscape architect and planner?
I have not.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking of applying. I'm not sure what I can do, but our friend Wes Blankenship said, send me a picture of your lawn and I'll let you know if you're qualified. So I found like the most jacked up lawn I could find. He zooms in on a leaf. He's like, no leaves allowed. Sorry. So,
there you go.
tough out there. It's tough out there. But yeah, I mean, Augusta National, if you're a landscaper, perhaps you're looking for something to hang out and do. You can
I dare
probably
say it doesn't get much bigger than that. I wouldn't think.
Your work is criticized by everyone,
But you're well paid for it.
but you are well paid, and probably nobody knows your name. They just say the landscape guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, whoever does the grass here is terrible. It's phenomenal. That's the problem. Is when you do a great job and you still don't get any credit for it. You kidding me? Out of here.
Been there, done that.
Exactly. What do you think about Derek Mason? We told you he's out at Auburn. He's now at Oklahoma State. This is solid, right? Solid hire.
I think so. Yeah. The way that the chronology of that was a little odd to me, but I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
Mike McDonald from Michigan is heading to the Ravens. Defensive coordinator at Michigan heading to the Ravens. So dominoes, as Donovan said, are starting to fall in some places. So make sure that you keep abreast as to what's going on. When we come back, it's more Main Street Sports Today after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
It's time for the second half on Main Street Sports Today. Teresa Walker joins the show coming up, talking Titans, Preds, Grizzlies, and more. Plus, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Now, back to the Lee Company studio with the Hall of Famer and Sports Writer of the Year, Mo Patton, and the Sundrop Kid from Alabama, Chris Yao.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today and to the Lee Company studio presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I am Chris Yao, joined by Mo Patton and JP Plant, the golden tones you hear at the beginning of each half of the show.
Ba-ba-ba-bing.
Ba-ba-ba-boom. I feel like I could do some good Conway Twitty. Bum, bum, bum.
You've got that voice today.
I do. I feel like today would be the day. It's a little Conway. But
yeah, just don't give out your location, because all those ladies would swoon right to the front porch and knock the door down. Make sure it's locked today.
Swooning would not be a good idea.
No, it would not. No, it would not.
No
swooning
allowed.
Mo, was announced yesterday, I believe, that North Carolina State Athletics Director Boo Corrigan will serve as the College Football Playoff Selection Committee chair, and he'll replace Gary Barta, the Iowa AD. Is this a good idea to continue doing this with sitting ADs? I mean, these are guys who are getting death threats. I mean, when these rankings come out, they're the face of these things, and I mean, they have to go back to school.
Well, I mean, as I pointed out off air. There we go.
Gotcha.
There shouldn't be any conflict of interest for Boo. Certainly not with his school, and possibly not with his conference. So, I mean, if you're looking for neutrality in that position, I think you kind of got it there. But I mean, to your point though, Chris, I mean, what are you looking for in that position if it's not a sitting athletics director at a university?
I mean, who are the type of people that we want on this committee, right? That's the question. Who are the type of people? Because when we first had this thing, like Condoleezza Rice was on there, and you know, there were some really good committee members, but I don't know who is the ideal committee member. Is it a former coach, a former player, athletics directors?
I would think a former coach would be your perfect chairperson. But
I mean, they're used to dealing with media.
They're used to dealing with media. They're used to answering questions. They recognize, the nuances of high level football. I'm intrigued by the fact that this press release, Bill Hancock, executive director of the CFP, also announced that the management committee has appointed Chet Gladchuk, athletics director at the U.S. Naval Academy, Jim Grobe, longtime head coach at Ohio University. Okay, Ohio University, Wake Forest, and Baylor. There we go. Never mind. I was about to go off on a rant. Ward Manuel, athletics director at the University of Michigan, and Kelly Whiteside, longtime sports writer for USA Today, Sports Illustrated, and Newsday. So I'm intrigued by the fact that they've got a media member involved with that. But it's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's positive for to have a media member in there, but I mean, what do some of these people know about ranking college football teams based on how good they are?
Well, I guess they know as much as anybody else. I mean, and I am over the last few days on various social media platforms. I've seen some comments regarding the Titans and the second guessing of the Titans and that kind of thing. There are folks that just feel like only if you've coached or played do you have a right to an opinion about sports. And it's a little bothersome as a non-coach, non-player, but someone who's watched a lot of it. I mean, it's not brain surgery. It's not rocket science, or as Bobby Johnson would say, it's not rocket surgery.
That's right. It's not.
So, yeah. I don't know, but
by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but the new playoff committee chair is a Notre Dame grad. Are we surprised?
It always comes back to Notre Dame, doesn't it?
Every time. It never fails.
So it's not even the NC State affiliation that's the issue.
Hold on, guys. So a guy named Boo is a Notre Dame grad?
That's what they say.
You don't see that every day.
No. The first committee was chaired by Jeff Long. Who
was he at Arkansas at that time?
He was at Arkansas at the time.
Okay.
So that answers your question about if the SEC had ever had a member.
Mm-hmm.
Archie Manning was on it. Condoleezza Rice, Tyrone Willingham, Steve Weiberg
from USA Today.
From USA Today was on it. So I guess they've had a media member every time.
Well, it seems like maybe there's a rotating.
Yeah, they're rotating the chair among the Power 5 conferences most likely, and Notre Dame.
Well, but it seems like they're rotating the memberships as well, because these new members are coming on for 3-year terms, replacing Barta, Paola Boyven, Charlie Cobb, and Tyrone Willingham. So I don't know how many members of the selection committee are there?
Well,
yeah,
let's Jeff Long, Oliver Luck, Archie Manning, Tom Osborne, Dan Radakovich, sure, Condoleezza Rice, Mike Trangisi from Big East, Steve Weiberg, Tyrone Willingham. So 9.
Kind of odd
on the first committee.
Kind of odd that you would have somebody from the Big East on the football committee.
Well, I mean, I guess he was the former commissioner back when they, had football. It's funny that you mentioned Bobby Johnson, because he actually was on the committee 2015. He was named to replace Archie Manning. So that's funny. And then Jeff Bauer.
What good football looks like.
Yeah, he watched the other team for a long time.
Hey now.
Sorry, JP. Got to get my little jabs in when I can. Jeff Bauer and Lloyd Carr were on it in 2016 up until 19. So it does appear like they are kind of hoping to get the coaches involved, some former coaches. So I guess that's a positive. I guess, that was my question. Who is the perfect person? And I mean, I guess a coach is, but I like the fact that they do have a media person and, a random fan, basically. I mean, they're high profile, but they're a fan.
Yeah. That's kind of the Condoleezza Rice. I don't know who that is now necessarily, but yeah, a high profile fan, like you said.
So, yeah, I just find it interesting. Sorry, gosh, y'all. Yeah, it's tough stuff over here. I just find it interesting how they've kind of gone about this, and even more so that we can't get a consensus on expansion. So whatever. Anyway, let's talk to Teresa Walker. She may have better ideas. So we'll get to her on the other side, talking Titans, Predators, and Grizzlies right after this. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Oh, I was like, what is this on our bug? But I see the live now. Cool beans, JP. Nicely done.
The little things.
I saw this random like red speck on my screen, and I thought it was like something I needed to get off of my screen, and then I realized what it was.
JP's always new and improving stuff, man.
Yeah, every day there's something different.
Flexing over there. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just want to introduce you to your toes and make sure you still remember where they are.
All right, we appreciate that. Not looking forward to this next segment per se, because we have to revisit last Saturday's debacle in Nissan Stadium.
Of course, we kind of brought this on ourselves.
We did. But, it's never a bad thing when we get a chance to talk to Teresa Walker, who will join us now, and looking forward to it. But 4 hours ago, Mo, and maybe Teresa can give us some insight here, AJ Brown tweets, "I promise I will do better than Michael Jordan in baseball." And now I'm very scared. Teresa, AJ's not leaving us, is he, to go play baseball, is he? Because they're not playing. He knows they're in a lockout, right? Is he going to be one of the scabs?
I hadn't seen the tweet. I'm just saying. But yeah, seems a little early to be starting negotiating. Between the Titans. I kind of expect them to want to re-sign him sign him to an extension. I mean, he just set a playoff franchise record with 142 yards receiving. And considering how close he was to a 1,000-yard season with, having been on IR for 3 games and missing pieces of a couple other games, he had people should not err on the side of thinking he did not follow up his Pro Bowl season well. But, I'm going to find that tweet and figure out what's up. But that doesn't make a lot of sense because, yes, the Major League Baseball is on a lockout right now, and, they're putting their own spring training at risk. So, no clue what AJ may be meaning with that.
Well, let me try to enlighten or further muddy the situation. There is a website, sportskeeda.com, that has something up on this. AJ Brown makes his intentions clear about playing in MLB. He had a tweet. He retweeted a post about Bo Jackson, and he said, "Sometimes I think about playing both sports again. At Padres, all I need is a workout. I still got it." And so then I guess he followed up with his, "I promise I'll be better than Michael Jordan." But for those who may not know, apparently AJ was drafted by the Padres out of high school before he signed a football scholarship with Ole Miss. So
could you imagine Manny and AJ Brown and Tatis and Ryan Weathers.
Drafted in the 19th
I'll
round of
consider-
the 2016 draft out of Starkville High School in Starkville, Mississippi.
Huh? Who knew?
I'll just say this. Sometimes it's better to just stick with the sports that you've spent the last few years working on. And here's the thing. You better be able to hit the curve if you're going to try that, because we saw what happened to MJ when he tried that. In fact, I'm just working on something, and as a reminder, his baseball career went so swimmingly that on March 18th, 1995, that's when he announced with the facts that he was back in his primary sport. So, you better be able to hit the curve. And, I mean, with his skills, could he play baseball? I mean, he's an incredible athlete. Watching the way he tracks down the football, I could easily see him playing outfield or whatever he wanted to do. That said, he is rather poised for a big payday in the coming months from the Tennessee Titans.
No doubt.
I think, though, working in his favor, Teresa, is he's only 24. He'll be 25 in June. I mean, if you're really wanting to entertain this possibility, I mean, he's not as far removed from having played at the high school level as Jordan was when he undertook his second career. So, I wouldn't discount it. Like you said, he's a heck of an athlete, and maybe he's just trying to gain a little negotiation leverage, like we said. So, but it's intriguing.
And look, Mo and Chris, I'll say this: looking at the tweet that he responded to, which was from the great account Super 70 Sports, I'm just going to say that maybe he saw a tweet and tweeted a couple of things, and we're already in the season for football, at least with this team, of trying to divine the tea leaves and tweets to, pull something out of the woodwork. I mean, until, I'm not going to say, there's no smoke there. That's my guess at this point.
They call it the silly season, right, Teresa?
Yes, and
for good reason.
That's where they're at. So, for good reasons, and we're there's a lot of Titan fans in the silly season wanting to figure out, well, let's go get Aaron Rodgers, let's get Russell Wilson, and guys, I'm actually working on a story for next week as we're looking at all the LA Super Bowls next week before in the off week before everything really cranks up to they yank the knob off essentially for the Super Bowl coverage the week after. And I talked to Terry Bradshaw yesterday for the story, and it was interesting. He told me he had a bad game, 3 interceptions in that game. He also threw, the key touchdown, 73-yarder to John Stallworth, but, 3 interceptions, and yet he was named MVP because they did win the game. Ryan Tannehill is picked off 3 times, and people are ready to just skip him on out of here. And I know there's a lot of anger, frustration, just the emotions are still swirling, even though it's now Wednesday, and probably will swirl for a few more weeks, let's be honest. But, I just can't see. I know that there's ways to make millions of dollars kind of disappear in the NFL with restructures or anything, but the deal that he restructured last year to help him get Julio Jones, and those numbers, his cap figure, his salary number, the dead cap hit that they would take. The dead cap hit is over $50 million. I'm old enough to remember when in 2006, Steve McNair was going to count a quarter of the salary cap then. And Bud Adams said, stay away. Don't you come working out in our facility. I don't want to risk a dumbbell falling on your foot and us getting stuck with the tab for your salary this year. So, it's fun if you're playing fantasy football. Just don't expect it to happen in the real world.
Well, speaking of those 3 interceptions, I'm watching an NFL Films tweet right now where Mike Hilton is on the sideline prior to the second of those 3 interceptions, looking at the tablet saying, he's going to throw it and I'm going to catch it. And then, of course,
he threw it.
He threw it and
he caught it.
And so,
that's what they call calling your shot, right?
Well, and I mean, obviously we don't know this. We don't know whether it was, a Downing decision, a Tannehill decision, pre-snap or what, but, it just goes back to feeling like this offense was very predictable at times this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw, Mike Vrabel, moved quickly yesterday, clearing out like 4 assistant coaches, assistants to assistants, most of them except for Jim Haslett, former head coach and inside linebackers coach. I'm wondering, at what point does he, sit down and look at the offense, because, and he said, the belief is that injuries, led to a big part of the challenges this year, right? Before the injuries really started rolling, before they lost Derrick Henry, this offense was executing on par with where it was last year. I mean, remember when they were rolling through that 6-game winning streak and, they were putting up a ton of points, and the offense seemed to be clicking really well, with the exception of that Jets game. But that's the key, is figuring out, I've heard a lot of people who certainly know football better than I do saying that, they didn't give a lot of help. The first interception, Jesse Bates, there was nobody running toward the middle of the field to, help draw that safety away from Julio Jones. And instead he jumped that pass reading, Tannehill tipped it. He showed he was going toward Julio and they jumped it. So, that's part of the challenge, is figuring out. And Mike Vrabel, I've had people message me on Twitter saying, well, does Vrabel even know what he's talking about on offense? He's a defensive guy. And it's like, when you play 14 years as a linebacker in the NFL, I'm pretty sure you can watch tape and figure out what you're looking at. You have to defend it, people. That doesn't mean you're completely out of the loop on how an offense operates. And, he's been here now 3 other seasons. So he saw how this offense was operating under Arthur Smith. And as good as it was last year, it really took off once they got Ryan Tannehill in the lineup in mid-October of 2019. So he can see what it was then, see what happened this year, and should be able to evaluate the differences. And is Todd Downing the guy to blame? I mean, it's easy to look and say it could have, should have been better. Guess what? Mike Vrabel's the one who, he's going to have to make that decision. He said that Todd Downing's a great coach, a hard worker, communicates well. The one thing he didn't quite say, if I'm forgetting it, was that, he's just a great schemer. So, maybe this is something that they decide we'll work on it and try to see what goes on further this year. Just get more talent. He did say that they have to be great around Ryan Tannehill. And, guess what? This franchise never addressed tight end last year. Now, I'm sorry, Anthony Firkser, banking on him being your number one, that busted. And, you got what you got out of him and Jeff Plain. You didn't accurately and, properly replace Johnny Smith. And then on the receiving core guys, when Julio and A.J. Brown were on IR, and then the other injuries, Marcus Johnson, they were stuck, starting an undrafted receiver out of Indiana, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and promoting a guy from the practice squad and Cody Hollister to start in New England. So that, to me, also points out that they didn't build their depth at wide receiver enough as well. I mean, what did we see so much out of the weekend? Josh Allen, they were the Chiefs were taking away Stephon Diggs. Well, he finds Gabriel Davis for 4 touchdowns, right? The Chiefs, they've got Tyreek Hill, they've got Pringle, they got Kelsey, so it's like you've got to have weapons. It's nice that this is a running team that ran the ball more than any NFL team this last year. And, they managed to rank 5th in rushing, but that rushing game struggled at the points where they absolutely needed it on Saturday. And, the turnovers were just, they couldn't overcome them.
Turnovers, obviously the biggest issue, but this defense was phenomenal. And I just want to get your quick thoughts on, how impressed you and others were with how great this defense played on Saturday.
Oh, it was amazing. And, 9 sacks to tie a postseason single game record. Jeffrey Simmons, 3 sacks. This is a guy that if he's not Pro Bowl next year, all pro, he was second team all pro. I think he was tied with Chris Jones with 10 votes, but I mean, and Kevin Byard, Christian Fulton will have another season to build and improve on his year. You hopefully get Caleb Farley back. You know, a year ago, it was kind of like, well, wait a minute, what are you doing with Jayon Brown and Rashawn Evans? Remember, they didn't pick up Rashawn Evans' fifth-year option. And now what they've got is David Long steps up and just grabs one of the starting positions on the inside at linebacker. And then, you pick up Zach Cunningham off waivers. So, you know, they upgraded that part of the area. The biggest question on defense this offseason is going to be, can they re-sign Harold Landry coming off a career-high 12 sacks? And, he's now going to the Pro Bowl as an injury replacement for Joey Bosa. So, that price tag is going to be pricey. So, and I think there's like 31 players that are going to be hitting free agency for this franchise. So, John Robinson and his staff are going to be very busy.
No question there. No question. They are going to have a lot of discussions over the next few weeks and getting ready for the draft as well. So looking forward to it. Teresa Walker, AP Tennessee sports editor. Sad we couldn't get too much into the Preds today, but we will certainly do that later this week with Pete Weber. But they are looking really good right now. So at least there's, some positives in your world, Teresa.
Oh, absolutely. The Memphis Grizzlies have the third best record in the NBA. John Morant's probably going to be named an all-star. I mean, it'd be stunning at this point. And then lastly, my world is looking good. 2 weeks from tomorrow, I leave for LA to help cover the Super Bowl.
Well, LA should be fun. It might be a home game. That'd be interesting. So, Teresa, we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.
It will be what? It will be what? The most fun you've ever had covering a football game? Is that what you said? No? Okay. Teresa Walker is awesome. We appreciate her every time we can get her. She is simply the best. We have Wild and Wacky coming up, Mo, which means I get to give you the weirdest and wildest stories that I can come up with. And we get to laugh about them and talk about how ridiculous people in the world are. So
I'm looking forward to a Florida man entry. So
I'm not sure if we've got a Texas woman, which may be worse.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you're going to want to stick around for this one.
I will.
That's Wild and Wacky Wednesday on Main Street Sports Today. We'll be right back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Keep your home as comfortable as possible. If you have any issues with your air conditioner, electrical, or plumbing systems, call Lee Company. Our techs use visual findings and other technology tools to add transparency and clarity. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on the roof. We're here 24/7, so if you need us, call us. Lee Company. Call 931-548-4448 today or schedule your appointment at leecompany.com. That's leecompany.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports. Today, got a few minutes left here. There is a great story that is coming out because Jamar Chase apparently has let it be known that Les Miles told him he couldn't play receiver. And a couple of years ago, Larry Holder of The Athletic wrote this story. And this is incredible because when Les Miles was at LSU, he was recruiting Jamar Chase, right? Recruits him as a cornerback, says you can't play receiver. You're not good enough to play receiver in the SEC. All right. So one, there's that. Two, do you know where Jamar Chase originally committed to play football?
I don't know.
Do you have a guess?
Sure. Huh?
Somewhere east of here.
I'm guessing somewhere east of here, about 3 hours or so.
No.
Oh,
Kansas, where he would have ironically ended up playing for
Les Miles.
So
that was my second guess.
Anyway, so he ended up going to LSU after Les Miles was let go, and Ed Orgeron comes in. So he ended up going to LSU, and that's how he got to LSU. But I thought that was amazing that, you know, Les Miles told him, you're not good enough to play wide receiver at LSU. So,
and all he did was play for a national championship and
win one and be one of the best wide receivers in college football and in the pros
and in the NFL. Yeah.
So,
nice miss there, Les. Yeah.
Well,
that's
boy,
tough.
when he misses
big. Clearly.
No question. All right, let's get into wild and wacky news, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world or just Texas. This may be one of the more interesting things I've ever seen because I'm just not sure. I don't know if this is legit. Rebecca Taylor, a 49-year-old woman in Crockett, Texas, allegedly offered a stranger $500,000 to purchase her baby in the checkout line at Walmart.
While in the checkout line.
Yes.
Okay. For how much again?
$500,000.
$500,000.
$500,000.
And apparently she started low. She started with $250,000. And then the mother refused the offer. So she was like, well, how about $500,000? And then she allegedly threatened to take the infant, according to Harris County Sheriff's Office. She was like, well, you won't take for $500,000. I'll just take the baby then. She's in currently, right?
It reminds me of the scene from The Hangover with Ken Jeong.
Yeah. It's like,
take it. Your choice.
So, yeah, that's something right there. I mean, she was released on a $50,000 bond after being charged with a third-degree felony. Apparently, it is an actual crime to be charged with the sale or purchase of a child. Now, she didn't actually purchase the child, so I'm not sure if it's like, other things where, solicitation of the sale is also a crime,
or the attempt.
Yeah. I don't know if you actually have to go through with it to be.
Well, apparently you don't.
Well, I mean, you can be arrested, but I don't know if, perhaps a good attorney, one that might cost $500,000, could get her off. I mean, if I'm an attorney, that's how much I'm charging. I know you got the money.
Clearly.
Absolutely.
We've already established that. Yeah.
My retainer is going to be pretty high on that one.
Or at least you think you can get it.
Yeah, exactly. Man, poor Rebecca. So we've talked on this show about mashed potatoes before. And I don't know how we always end up with some mashed potato content. This may just be the show for mashed potato content. Premium mashed potato content right here on Main Street Sports today. When you're looking for mashed potatoes,
look no further.
We've got we've got your masher right here.
So before you say this is a we thing with mashed potatoes, you're the one that has the story. So there may be something with you and mashed potatoes, Chris.
It just so happens that apparently mashed potatoes end up being
they draw your eye.
They draw something because 2 female inmates at a German prison have been served a hefty fine for a brawl that began with a food fight. And of course, it began with mashed potatoes. That's right. A court in Augsburg sentenced one defendant to pay a fine of 2,700 euros, which is like $3,000. And the other received 1,800 euros, which is $2,000. And if they fail to pay, the women could spend another 180. This is poorly worded here. Another 180 or 120 days behind bars.
Where are they supposed to get the money?
This is a great question. I don't know, but
been selling cigarettes in the pen. I don't know.
Want to sell a lot of them, I would think.
They were throwing mashed potatoes at one another following a disagreement, and if they can't come up with the money, I guess they'll probably just have to stew behind bars for a little while.
I wonder, was it like an Animal House where instead of throwing it, you put it in your mouth and blow your cheeks together and it projectiles out? Maybe.
Like
a zit.
Yep. Yeah.
Look, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. I've never had to be in a food fight with mashed potatoes. So
well, the Germans did bomb Pearl Harbor in this German prison. So maybe that's
wasn't over.
Don't stop him. He's on a roll.
Yep,
he's on a roll. Speaking of on a roll, you can't imagine it, but baby elephants, pretty big, right? I mean, elephants in general are big. Did you know that elephants can have twins?
Never really thought about it.
I think Bora, the mother of rare twin elephants, is probably upset about the idea. If I had to guess, only 1% of births result in twin elephants. So, this is really interesting. Like I'm sitting here thinking like an elephant in and of itself, an elephant baby is probably still pretty big. And then you're going to tell me I got 2 in there? No, I'm good. Thank you though. We appreciate it. I don't really have, I mean, look, the animal content here is twin elephants, but have you seen the monkeys that are like running around Pennsylvania? They're still trying to catch them.
I thought they caught them all.
Did they finally catch them all?
I think
Gotta catch them
what
all.
kind of monkeys?
Look, I don't mean to primate, but I'm not really sure what kind of monkeys they were.
You're stretching there for a game. Stretching hard.
Yeah.
No bell.
No.
All I know is
too much planning went into that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He set that one up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can't set up your puns.
I mean, you can. You just got to sound a little better than that. I didn't really have enough time because we only had like 10 seconds left. So it is what it is. That's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, and weirdest and wildest news from across the world. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on Main Street Sports today. We'll be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. For Mo and JP, I am Chris Yao saying have a great day and come on back.